Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ian Rambarran, and I'm the chair of the Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Committee for the California Mortgage Bankers Association. Today, we have a very special guest in our podcast series. Elizabeth Chostner from Selene Finance is going to talk about her experience and pathway to where she is today and what DE&I means to her and her company. So would you introduce yourself, Elizabeth?
Hi, Ian. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Well,
as you mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Chostner. I am the Senior Vice President for Legal Regulatory at Selene Finance. I've been there for about 5 months. And prior to that, I was in other legal leadership roles at Planet Home Lending and Capital One.
Okay, very nice. And what's been your pathway to where you are today?
It has been a curvy road, let's say. I was the first in my family to go to law school. Definitely not the first, though, to get a graduate degree. And I found my way to law school, interestingly, because I have a degree in biology, and I thought to myself, I should be an IP attorney. I am clearly not an IP attorney today. But I ended up going to law school, and I graduated in 2005. And when I graduated, I began my career in private practice doing commercial litigation for a boutique law firm in St. Charles, Missouri. At the time, one of our clients was a national bank that did consumer lending liability. And through happenstance, I was a diverse candidate, and they had an expectation that the firm staffed their cases with diverse attorneys. And so I got my first case with them, and it just took off from there.
Okay, great. So did you have anybody that to open doors for you, or was it you just knocking them down and seeing what came ahead?
Now, I'm one of those strange people that think that our careers and our paths are paved by others. At least in some sense, I did. I've had the benefit of having some amazing mentors. Starting with my mother and my grandmothers, they instilled in me a desire and a belief that we should all certainly work hard, focus on education, but most importantly, be in a position to take care of ourselves and not to be reliant on other folks. And so having that kind of instilled in me from a very early age, when I got into private practice, I looked for folks that could help that pathway. My first managing partner was an amazing mentor to me while I was in private practice. He helped allow me to see and grow in the cases I took, and he gave me the confidence to get in and try the hard cases. He was the first, and I always go back to his comment to me: if you don't lose and if you don't make mistakes, you're not challenging yourself. And I love that, and I think that's true. And he always challenged me to do the next best thing.
Well, in your circle while you were at the law firm and while their clients were looking to the law firm, were there many female lawyers? Were there many diverse candidates? What was the sense of your sense of everybody around you?
Sure. So I was the only female lawyer in our commercial litigation group. We were a boutique firm, so we were relatively small. I did have the benefit of 2 other female lawyers in our healthcare defense medical malpractice group that I could look to for guidance and assistance. But in the commercial litigation group, it was me. Okay. And so I got very comfortable at a very young age from a professional perspective, kind of being the odd man out, literally the odd woman out. And that was okay with me. And so, you get over it and you move forward.
So in your current work environment as a woman, how diverse do you feel? Do you feel like the only woman in the room? What's your take today?
Not at all. So I am, I think, blessed in legal department that I am a part of today. Our general counsel is a woman, and our the makeup of our attorney and non-attorney team is definitely over the 50-50 threshold. We welcome diverse opinions. It is a collaborative environment, which is so important. And yeah, so I'm definitely no longer the only woman in the room.
And what do you think caused the change like that in the working environment in general?
I think this is my own perspective. In the last 15 years, there has been a huge shift, at least that I've seen in the industry, on the focus of diversity and inclusion. And I think you see many corporations making intentional efforts to, certainly in-house, bring in diverse candidates, whether it's gender, race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, to really be inclusive. And I think you see that in the makeups of the legal departments now. Certainly at Selene, and also at other places I've worked.
So it sounds like there are forces internally that want to push the issue forward and structure something, and then there's also external forces. Like one of your first breaks was from a bank who wanted to shake things up too.
That's exactly right, and yeah, that was back in 2005, or maybe 6. So I think they were an early mover in that arena, at least from my perspective, they were. But I think all of those things help foster the environments and allow folks like me or others to see themselves in those leadership roles as you start putting more and more people into the leadership roles. It's wonderful to see somebody that looks like you or has your background and say, I can do that, right? It's not a stretch. It's not unsurmountable.
That's right. That's the way I feel too, because I'm the first in my immediate family to be a lawyer, and to put myself in an environment that I don't know, and but I know the people behind me, whatever they want to do, see that something successful is attainable.
That's exactly right.
So what, in your experience, has Selene or other organizations done to foster some sort of diversity, equity, and inclusion within its ranks?
So I think it starts with your staffing. You need to, I've seen and I've experienced the benefit of looking to non-traditional organizations to attract and to source candidates for your jobs that you're looking to fill, whether it's a women's legal organization or minority legal organization, looking for those opportunities to kind of highlight where you are posting your jobs and where you're drawing those candidates. I think it's also incredibly important, and I've mentioned that it's something that benefited me, although at the time I wasn't cognizant of the impact that it would have. I think having expectations for your external counsels from a diversity perspective is important. If it's important to you as a corporation, then it should be important to those that are serving you too. And so I do think it's important to have those expectations and requirements for counsel that's working on your matters.
Sorry, you had something else?
No. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because you're on the receiving end of that.
Well, true. So, it's been great to work with you and your team too. And, from our firm, we have, committed to diversity for, over a decade of, close to 15, 16 years, where we intentionally go out and recruit diverse candidates at the first year level, so that they could see what it's like to work in a law firm, because many of them have never seen a law firm. I never met a lawyer until I went to law school. So there's that pipeline of possibilities for the students, and then it gives them that extra connection to say, okay, this is what it's like, this is what I need to do, and this is what I can attain. And we've hired so many of those candidates, probably 6 or 7 of them since we started the program, and it's been good. So what has been your experience or feedback from the diverse candidates that have followed your pathway?
Positive. I've never had a negative response or a response of, well, why are you doing this, or anything of that nature. In a former life at a former employer, we also participated in a joint program with a law firm to bring in diverse candidates, and they split their time between the law firm and the corporation I was working for at the time. And the folks that I interacted with there, they were also first-year attorneys, or first-year law students, excuse me. And I thought it was a wonderful experience. It was certainly great from our perspective. We got to meet, these new up-and-coming potential recruits from our perspective. But I think importantly, from a personal and professional development, it starts building those relationships, whether it's for mentoring or sponsorship in the future, to really help foster that. I cannot emphasize enough how important your network is, how important it is to have those relationships with law firms, with people in the industry, because we don't do this on our own, and it is so important to have that network. And I love the programs that allow that.
Yep. So if you were to give an up-and-coming lawyer, or even a startup business who's just starting out, some advice, what would you tell them to look for or do?
Seek out people who have done it before. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to start developing that relationships. And if you are an in-house attorney at a business or at a corporation, think about who you can interact with from a sponsorship program, or from a sponsorship perspective. So mentoring and sponsorship, in my mind, are two different things. A mentor is somebody that you can seek advice from. A sponsor is somebody who's going to be there at the table where you might not have a voice, that's going to advocate for you and advocate the advancement of your career. And the sooner you can start developing those relationships, the better, because it really is important to help position you and to differentiate you from the rest of the folks that may also have your role, or candidates.
And with that, that'll be the final word. I appreciate the time. And I'm glad we were able to be here together to talk about it. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ian.